And we're moving on and getting you all the latest updates on Pompeo's visit in India. The latest, of course, being that Pompeo has left from PM's residence and has arrived at the South Block for meetings with NSA Ajit Doval and External Affairs Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar. A series of meetings that have been taking place since this morning, and after a 20-minute long meeting that he had with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Mike Pompeo, who's made his way to the South Block, he will first be holding a meeting with National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and will also be meeting External Affairs Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar. Some very important agendas of this meet that will primarily include heightened trade tensions, Iran oil imports, and most importantly H-1B visas. These are the important key issues that will be addressed in this meeting. And why this is also important is because this will really lay the roadmap of what transpires between Narendra Modi and Donald Trump on the sidelines of the G20 summit that is set to take place in Osaka on the 28th of June. For the moment, we have our executive editor Abhishek Kapoor, who's with us on the phone line. Abhishek, take us through the latest.
Well, Suresha, as we speak, the National Security Advisor has received Secretary Pompeo at the South Block, and there would be in a one-on-one, closeted in a one-on-one meeting for some time. It was interesting to see the pictures where the NSA actually walked out of his office to receive Secretary Pompeo at the forecourts of South Block. So, in a way, a gesture of sorts to receive the secretary, the visiting secretary, and a crucial strategic dimension of talks when it comes to just the National Security Advisor. Like with the Prime Minister, there would be a whole gamut of issues and, of course, preparation for the Osaka bilateral between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump, and, of course, also the trilateral that is called the JAI, which is Japan, America, and India. And then the Quad meeting that takes place on the sidelines of G20. But with NSA, it's about nuts and bolts of the strategic dimension. So how to operationalize the status of India as a major defense partner, how to operationalize the granting of strategic trade authorization status that the United States gave India last year, how to operationalize that in terms of defense acquisitions. Also, keeping in mind the fact that America is yet to give a CAATSA waiver on the issue of S-400 purchase of S-400 missile shield from Russia. So whether the NSA would discuss that with Secretary Pompeo and the other issue of cooperation on the issue of terrorism. We have seen increasingly United States has strongly stood by India when it comes to Masood Azhar, for example, when it comes to Pakistan's sponsoring of terror and then punishing Pakistan in the FATF, for example. So whether those things are discussed to take it forward. And, of course, also the issue of Afghanistan, where India and the United States have worked closely for peace in the region. In the recently held Moscow format, India was a silent listener, and India is closely involved, we are told, behind the scenes in facilitating the dialogue at many levels. So that, and then, of course, the whole issue of, very difficult issue of Iran, where United States stands with Saudi Arabia and UAE in condemning Iran for its role, while India has had a historical relationship and still enjoys a good equation with Iran. So how to triangulate that, whether India can help the Iran-US detent in some manner. So all those things will be discussed between Secretary Pompeo and the NSA Doval at the South Block, and of course later in more detailed fashion perhaps at the Ministry of External Affairs with the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. Suresha.
Absolutely, Abhishek. And if you could focus more on the S-400 standoff that is likely to figure high in these talks, because US had opposed India-Russia S-400 missile deal, and in fact the US had also wanted India to cancel the purchase, but India is hoping that for US sanction waiver during this visit.
It is an expectation from the Indian side of the many issues that the deal that was struck between India and Russia in 2018 when President Putin was visiting about purchasing S-400 Trump missile shield. America wants their own NASAM to be bought, and I believe some of them are actually being bought for Delhi. But America has this law, which is CAATSA, which is countering America's adversaries through Sanctions Act, and some automatic sanctions come in place if some trade deals happen between nations that are even friendly with the United States, but with nations that are not. And so India is expecting that some kind of cuts or waiver comes in. The Americans have been a little reticent about it, so whether the modalities of that would be discussed. That happens obviously between the NSA and Secretary Pompeo, and of course then between Secretary Pompeo and the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. Suresha.
All right, Abhishek, thank you for bringing us up to speed with all these latest developments. And like we've been saying, that we'll keep coming back to you on all that happens later in the day, and most importantly, what comes out of this meeting between Mike Pompeo and External Affairs Minister Subrahmanyam Jaishankar, and of course with NSA Ajit Doval as well. Thank you, Abhishek, for joining us.